Okay, well, I'm Doug Spoon, editor of Menifee 24/7, as many of you know. Thank you all for being here. We really appreciate it. I want to thank everyone for attending and thank all the candidates for being willing to be here, as well as the Menifee 24/7 staff, the members of the Chamber of Commerce who are helping us out, and student volunteers from the theater program at Liberty High School. Thanks, guys. We're going to get started with the Pledge of Allegiance, so if you can stand, and our Mayor, Bill Zimmerman, is going to lead us.
It's always a privilege to salute our flag. If you'll please join me, ready to begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, a couple of announcements here. Tonight's event is a forum, not a debate. Candidates will take turns giving opening and closing statements and will be individually asked questions that have been submitted by readers or the staff of Menifee 24/7. I thank those of you who have submitted questions. No questions will be taken from the audience, but you will have the opportunity to meet individually with candidates after the event. I know some of you got to meet them before, and they will be out there. We'll excuse them before the crowd goes out afterwards so they can be there to greet you as well. The forum is not being live streamed, but it's being videotaped for viewing tomorrow and in the future. Candidates will have 3 minutes for an opening statement and 1 minute for a closing statement. Questions will be directed at individual candidates who will have 2 minutes to respond. We must keep to a strict time schedule to get in as many questions as possible. Candidates, please remain seated while making your comments. Candidates' microphones will be turned off when they are not called upon, and we ask them not to interrupt each other. About halfway up in the... Kaylee, could you hold up your clock there? You can see how much time is left. So she'll hold that up when there's a few seconds left, and we'll try not to be too rude in cutting people off, but we've got a lot to get to in our program. So we're going to go ahead and start with opening statements. We'll start with the mayoral candidates, and so first we'll hear from Lisa Sobek.
Okay. So where's that clock? I don't see it. There it is. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. So as you heard, I'm Lisa Sobek, and I'm running for mayor for the city of Menifee. And I want to share with you a little bit about myself. My husband and I moved here in 1989 with our 3 children. I'm now a grandmother of 12 children. Before I was even on the Menifee City Council, I was an involved citizen. I started the military band program, which has become just a wonderful program in our city. I started Menifee Better Together, a day where we come out as citizens to help one another and give a hand up. I have the experience of being a planning commissioner, which is so important as a city council member. We have so much growth and so much building going on. It's important to have that background. I was elected in 2015 to the Menifee City Council. I was asked to run. Wally Edgerton was a council member. He knew he was going to pass from a lung transplant that his body started rejecting. He wanted someone who was honest, would work hard, and would represent the people. A couple of things that I've been able to do that I'm very proud of. I went right to work. Went right to work for started our police department, working on that. Our police department, as you know, this is Councilmember Liesmeyer and I. As soon as I got on the council, we went to work. I have served regionally, Cancer Care Task Force, Homeless Task Force. I currently serve on the Higher Education Coalition. I'm also on the traffic relief, the 5 cities coming together to work on that. As a council member, public safety is number 1. That has got to be it. Your safety is number 1. And every decision I make, I need to think about that and how that decision affects you. I serve on the Finance Committee. On that committee, we've been able to increase our reserves to 40%. Some of the things I've been able to do is Outstanding Citizen of the Month. Deliver Scott Road Interchange, now Holland Road, which we should see in about 3 weeks. That we're going over that overpass. Citizen of the Month. I believe that as a council member, that it's important to think of the people, be transparent, and having the Citizen of the Month has been such a great, great program for our citizens. I am endorsed by our mayor, Bill Zimmerman. I am endorsed by Mayor Pro Tem Dean Dinas, and I am endorsed by Councilmember Carwin. I'm also endorsed by District Attorney Mike Hestron, Riverside County Superintendent Chuck Washington, Senator Kelly Ciaro, and many local and non-business leaders in our city. I want you to know it's because of my leadership throughout the county and the boards that I've served on. I'm a proven leader. I work hard. I have the time. We need a full-time mayor, and that's what I have. To be your full-time mayor, to represent you, and I thank you again tonight for coming, and look forward to the rest of the evening.
Thank you, Lisa. Okay, now we're going to go to another candidate for mayor, Damian Green.
Giving honor to God first and foremost, because with Him all things are possible. Thank you, Liberty High School, Doug Spoon, City Council, Menifee Chamber, and fellow Menifeans for giving me this opportunity. Your encouragement has inspired me to be a greater Damian Lejeune Green. I was born and raised in LA. I lost both of my parents now, but my family of postal workers and military gave me a solid foundation and a strong belief in God. My wife and I purchased our first home here a year ago. We opened Menifee mailboxes and more. Our business is a necessity to the Sun City community, increasing tax monies, assistance to our seniors, and decreasing traffic to overcrowded Newport Road. I am the only candidate that desires a Social Security office and a DMV here in Menifee. We should not be forced to visit other cities for these important tasks. Menifee is a city of opportunity, growth, and tranquility. As your future mayor, I am committed to driving Menifee toward a sustainable, innovative future while preserving the peaceful, sunny charm that makes our city a serene place to call home. Together, we can build a future-forward Menifee that thrives in harmony with nature and nurtures a vibrant community. My focuses include green infrastructure technology, digital connectivity, job creation for the future, open spaces and parks, smart growth, urban planning, safety and well-being, support of local businesses, smart development, sustainable transportation, community engagement, youth mental health and empowerment, veteran and senior support. I will increase advocacy for the homeless and secure union jobs in the area. I will increase Menifee employees and teachers' income 1 to 2% to accommodate educational growth. I encourage homeschooling, upgrading current schools, unifying Menifee School District, and adding another high school. I have publicly displayed a vision for a mixed-use property that can be beneficial to the golf course or the areas in Menifee. I am the best candidate because my time is fully available to serve, and because I am not committed or indebted to any builders, businesses, individuals with agendas or other politicians to deliver any promises or gain endorsements. I am powered by the people. As your mayor, I will work tirelessly to ensure that Menifee grows smartly, sustainable, and equitable. I am dedicated to preserving the natural beauty of our city while embracing the future with innovation and care. Together, we will make Menifee a shining example of what peace, love, and happiness really is. Change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the change that we seek. Elect Damian Green Sr. for mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Damian. Also a candidate for mayor, we'll now hear from Ricky Estrada.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Ricky Estrada. A little bit about myself. I've been a resident here in Menifee since 2013. I am newly engaged, and I have a son, and his name is Ezekiel. He's my bulldog. And so here in Menifee, I understand starting a family is very important. We have a lot of new families coming here. I feel like I can represent all of the new families coming to Menifee The median age is 38. I am 35. I am a United States history teacher in 8th grade. I am part of the Air Force Reserves. I serve there on the weekends. And I was your newly elected city councilman in 2022, and I represent District 2. The reason I decided to run for office was because I saw all the growth happening here in Menifee. And let's be honest, a lot of us weren't too happy with the direction things were going. I wanted to represent the rural community, represent all the new families coming in and who were expecting to see a new place with a lot of economic development. We lack that unique identity. We lack that economic development. We go to Temecula for dinner. We go to Lake Elsinore for dinner. Why haven't we had it here in Menifee? I want to preserve our small town feel. I've proposed lowering our business license fees in good faith to offer more amenities for our residents. I think we should have more tax incentive programs like we offered with Savage Chef and the Applebee's, and give these small businesses and entrepreneurs a tax break to start here in Menifee. Bring us those amenities we need. Now, my voting record. I'm very proud of my voting record. You can have all the experience in the world, show up to all the ribbon cuttings, rub shoulders with everyone, but when it comes down to the brass tacks, how are you voting in Menifee when you're up on the dais? I'm the only council member who has a voting record of stopping increasing the housing density and the apartment density. Our infrastructure can't keep up anymore. Every resident I talk to are saying, what's up with all the houses? Why is Menifee known for all the houses? I'm trying to slow that down so our infrastructure can keep up. The warehouses, I'm the only candidate who votes against the warehouses. Those jobs bring a lot of pollution, it says that in our staff report, low-paying jobs, and dangerous working conditions. The Ethan Act Road should bring more economic development than warehousing. I'm the only candidate who has voted against the amphitheater, $6.6 million. When our infrastructure can't keep up, our parks have deficiencies. I'm the only council member who's voting against putting a car wash across the street from another car wash on Menifee and Newport Road. I want to bring smart growth to Menifee, economic development that benefits the residents.
Thank you, Ricky. Okay, we're going to go through our candidates for District 1, and we'll start with Bob Carwin.
Thank you, Doug. So my name is Bob Carwin. I'm currently the city council person representing District 1 here in Menifee. And thank you. And I hope that I was elected in 2020, and I hope that over the last 4 years I've earned your trust and support to continue the work we started into a second term. You know, my wife Janissa and I moved to Menifee in about 2002 because we wanted to buy our first home and start our family. And since then we raised two amazing children right here in this town. They both went to Ridgemore Elementary School, Menifee Valley Middle, and Paloma Valley High School. To say our family is a product of this community is just an understatement. We were built by this community. By day, I'm an attorney. I have an office here in Menifee, and I've represented many of our neighbors in injury claims. Because I don't have to commute, my office is right here. Over the years, I've been able to volunteer in a variety of activities. T-ball, softball, baseball, soccer, football, high school mock trial. If you're a parent, you know, you volunteer at everything when you're in town, and I've been very, very lucky to do that. I'm a dues-paying member of the Chamber of Commerce, which is growing and supporting small businesses, along with a dues-paying member of our charitable organization, the Rotary Club. As far as my city experience goes, in 2015 I was appointed to the Planning Commission by former Mayor John Denver, and I'm proud to say that my colleagues voted me to be chairman 3 years in a row. That's a lot of support from the Planning Commission. I learned in great detail over that 5 years how things work in the city and how to get things done, which is why as a city council member, when I was elected in 2020, I was ready to hit the ground running on day one. Over my time, we've built a bike trail on Normandy Road to keep kids out of harm's way. I worked collaboratively with my city council colleagues to get that on the agenda and get it passed before Catherine Newport Middle School was opened. It wasn't even on the agenda, and then it was done. Bradley Bridge, Mayor Zimmerman and I met with Ken Calvert and secured federal funding to complete the funding for that bridge, so now it's a reality and will be built next year. I've supported funding and policies for our police department that made us the 18th safest city in California out of 483 cities. And Councilmember Sobek and I were the ones who changed the city position on Krikorian from let's wait and see what happens to let's tear that thing down. That was passed on Friday. We've done a lot in 4 years, and there's a lot more to do. So that's why I'm asking for your trust and support to continue the momentum that we started here over the last 4 years and bring it Menifee right into the future. So again, my name is Bob Carwin, and I'd appreciate your vote on November 5th. You can find out more at carwinforcouncil.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Another candidate in District 1 is Mark Harkey. Mark?
My name is Mark Harkey. Why am I running? Because I feel the call to service. I want to represent we the people of Sun City. I want to bring my common sense and problem-solving skills and put them to work for the betterment of Sun City and Menifee. I was born and raised here in Southern California. I've lived here my entire life. I'm pretty much the last of my family, as they've all left the state. And why they left? It's because of quality of life issues. I've lived in Menifee 8 years. I moved to Sun City a year ago. I never thought much about Sun City. I'd go visit my mother-in-law and we'd go see her and, go back home. But now that I live there and I commute daily, I see a lot of things. I never thought, I would go visit her and, hold on a second. Now that I live there, I see the roads are crumbling. When we own a home, we take care of our house. We're proud of our house. And you go home and the road's broken. You don't quite feel so good. That's one of the things I want to address. Sun City is in danger of becoming the old broken down part of Menifee. And growing up in LA, I saw a lot of that. You go to neighborhoods that have been there a long time, and they never seem to get quite fixed. The roads might get patched, but the patches last maybe a year. I'd like to see Sun City lifted up and get an equal share of the money that's being spent on infrastructure be put to place there. The other thing I see is the homeless problem. It's in Sun City. There are a couple homeless people, elsewhere in Menifee, but it's mainly there. That's where the focus of the police needs to be. And we always should lead with compassion, but if they refuse the services that we're offering and the help we're offering, the helping hand, they can't be made to feel welcome to camp out there. So those are the two things I see every day when I commute. And those are the things, just two of the main issues I want to address. And if you elect me, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to focus on those things, those quality of life issues that will affect District 1. So, vote for Mark Harkey if that's what you want. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Now we're going to go to District 3. We've got 3 candidates, and the first one we'll hear from is Gene Recor. Gene?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for taking the time to come out here and see us all. I want to thank all these people here for running, because, wow, to stand up here and do what they need to do and go to the meetings and represent you, it's a big deal. So thank you guys very much. So my name's Gene Recor, originally from Denver, Colorado. Lived out there, came out here when I was 21, moved to Yucaipa, started a family. We got, between me and here, we have 5 kids all together. I have one that's very proud of. He is out on, he's on the aircraft carrier, the Lincoln in the Middle East, so. What I want to fight for in Menifee is traffic. When I saw the Holland Bridge come, I was very upset that they didn't make a hook right there. That hook didn't relieve the traffic coming off of Newport exit and take it over to Holland and do a hook that brings it right into that plaza. And then at that end, do a roundabout. There's things like that that I want to see. More roundabouts in the city for we can relieve traffic. I want to see, I live on Garbani, and if you drove over here from that side on Garbani, we've just got 1,001 potholes. And when they did the new stop sign and they made it a stoplight, instead of paving the center part that was all cracking and peeling, they just paved the side. Totally missed the center. I don't understand it. It's things like this that I want to use my experiences is the businesses that I've been in. I have my real estate license. I'm a general contractor right now. I do home improvements. These are the things that we need to work on in the cities to help people flow. With Eric, I agree with him. We need moderate growth. We need to get the streets together first and then put the people in the homes. We just have too much, where I live, I'm just watching a home development here, a home development here. And now when I pull out of my street on Garbani, I am waiting for, I don't know how long, like 5 minutes just to get out of my street where I just used to pull right out. The traffic there is just horrendous. So I'm looking to see your vote. Sorry I didn't write a speech. I'm not a speech writer. I'm not a politician, so I'm just going to give it from the heart. So when it comes to November 5th, if you want to change, give me a try. I'll work hard for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Gene. Next, we'll hear from Dan Temple.
Good evening. I'm appreciative that we're here. Thank you for doing this, and I too appreciate all the candidates for being here. My wife Naomi and I have lived in Menifee for about 21 years. We've been married 30 years, and it's here where we raised our 2 kids who both graduated from Santa Rosa Academy. I'm running for city council because I love Menifee, and I want to ensure that our city remains safe and provides an exceptional quality of life. A little bit about myself. After high school, I enlisted in the Marine Corps Reserve. I went to MCRD San Diego and then spent about 7 months at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina for training. After that, when I was 21 years old, I joined the California Highway Patrol. I did that for 27 years, promoted to the rank of sergeant in 2003 and retired in 2017. And I think my career choice of serving in the Marine Corps and also with the California Highway Patrol have instilled in me a love of country, a love of community, and a distinct duty to serve. While in the city and while living here, I've served in several local organizations. I currently serve on the Menifee Interfaith Council, and when we became a city in 2008, our first council member, Fred Twyman, appointed me to serve on the General Plan Advisory Committee, where I learned about city functioning and the purpose of the city plan. I've also had the privilege to serve twice as a school board member at Santa Rosa Academy where my kids graduated, and that was a real honor. As your representative on the Menifee City Council, I will prioritize the following. First and foremost will be public safety. I want to fully ensure our police are funded along with our fire and ensure that they have the resources to address things like homelessness, the petty crime that occurs, and traffic issues. I also want to ensure that we have a balanced city budget and a healthy reserve fund. Keep that growing. I want to support local businesses and attract desirable new businesses. You know what? We need the Trader Joe's. That's what I'm voting for. I also want to ensure we invest in park enhancements, road improvements, and traffic reduction. And then finally, I want to ensure that Menifee remains a great place to live. It's a great place now, and it needs to continue to be better. I'm proud to be endorsed by our Mayor Bill Zimmerman, by District 3 Council Member Lisa Sobek, District 4 Council Member Dean Dinas, Menifee School Board VP Jackie Johansson, Riverside County DA Mike Hestron, and finally our Supervisor Chuck Washington. I look forward to your vote. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dan. Next, we'll hear from Felix Montano.
Good evening, everybody. I appreciate everybody coming out. I basically came to Menifee back in 2017 This was our first home. It was our dream home, so it's nice to be a resident here. I love the fact that we have so many different cultures and we all get along, we all say hi to each other. And as my family grew here with my boys, and we did the bike riding when we could, in the evenings, when summer gets here, it gets really hot. I started seeing that I had to wear my safety vest. I do landscaping commercial, and I had to put a safety vest for them, and I had to put my oldest or my wife in the back, or I'm in the back, because people drive here very fast, even though there's speed limits. And then I started seeing in the newspaper that we had a couple deaths, kids, people going out to work, and people just speeding down the road, not seeing, and then getting a lot of accidents and deaths. And I started noticing that. Then I started noticing, how crime started happening more in the Paris side, down in Menifee, in this area. And I noticed that everything, all of a sudden, with all these homes, it started getting busier and busier, especially on Newport. I feel sorry for everybody who's in Newport, because I try to avoid it at all costs. It's bad. And I get we're growing as a city. I get a lot of people want to live here, but we need to slow down. We need to slow down, and we need to fix our infrastructure. Our streets, our lights. I hate the fact that we have accidents and we have a fatality, and then we put on a stop sign, or then we put a light. It's like it doesn't need to happen. If there's already complaints coming in, why do we have to wait for something like that to happen? A fatality, it's sad. I see that we need to work with our elder community as well. I was very fortunate for my mom to move out here a year ago, and she's on a fixed income. So I know how it is. I try to help her out as much as I can and whatever I can, but I know that on a fixed income, things are tight. I'm the only person that works in my household. As my son gets older and he's starting to work, my wife was a home housewife, which is a full-time job. She finished her bachelor's degree at CBU this last year. She's looking, but the economy's a little bit rough right now. So it's been the same, and I noticed that with a budget like this, things are tight. So I have that in mind. I have that consideration. I know how it is, and so for that reason, I decided to put my hat in there. I want to do a difference. I want to make a difference. I want to vote. I want to make the right choices, the smart choices for the city that we can. We have to look at everything. As we grow, we have to relook at things. We just can't say that was a plan that we put 10 years ago. Well, is it the best plan now? Can we fix it? Do we have to modify it? That's the only reason I didn't pick to be endorsed by anybody. I didn't ask for a campaign. It's all being funded from my side. So, thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Now comes the fun part. We've had a lot of questions submitted from our readers, and if you're following our social media at all, you know that our readers have no problem saying what's on their mind. So candidates, get ready. Some of these people are chomping at the bit to dig in here. I've done the best I can to weed through these and find ones that are appropriate and give everybody an equal chance to get questions answered. We'll have to minimize duplication or follow-ups on the same questions. So we'll get to hopefully most of these by 9 o'clock. So I'm going to start with one for Lisa Sobek. Many people on social media are blaming the City Council for things they have little or no control over, such as the private property issues with the Krikorian Theater site, the new courthouse, and housing density. Can you explain what the City Council's role is and what jurisdiction it has over key issues in the city, including infrastructure and housing development? You got 2 minutes.
Great, I appreciate that question for whoever turned it in. So first of all, on the Krikorian, it's a private owner owned property. The city has taken our steps legally, and I'm probably going to steal Councilmember Carwin's little fame here, but we went to court. There was a stay on the property. It was lifted September 20th. The city now has authorization to demolish that building. So where will that money come from? That money, the city will have to foot that bill, but a lien will be put on his property. In regards to housing, the governor has declared California a housing shortage. He has taken away our local control. So our responsibility as a council is to make sure those developers are bringing in quality. They bring in a park, we have them put in a signal light, we have them widen the street. So we have them bring those amenities in.
I think this was somebody that's probably heard your presentation at the Sun City Forum. You envision a complex featuring one-bedroom 55-plus apartments, a botanical garden, mini golf, a promenade with retail space, a small theater, and a luxury bar. My question, have you pitched this idea to Ambient? They appear to be primarily just a developer of homes. Is this a realistic plan?
I haven't had a chance to present it to Ambient yet, but going to Menifee Citizens Academy, I seen they came up with a similar idea after the Civic Center speech that I gave, and they have some of my ideas there as well. It is actual. It can happen. If we all come together, we can make that happen. It's also a dog park that's going to be added as well.
Okay, thank you. Next question for Ricky Estrada. Mr. Estrada, you've made it a point over the last few years to tout your support for our local law enforcement and first responders. You've also actively voiced your support for infrastructure funding, namely street and road repairs and traffic reduction. However, you've equally voiced your opposition to Measure DD, which funds our law enforcement, first responders, and infrastructure projects, going so far as to support a measure that sought to repeal DD. Are you still opposed to Measure DD, and if so, how do you plan to continue supporting our law enforcement, first responders, and infrastructure projects if you actively support defunding them?
Well, Mr. Spoon, I think that's a mischaracterization of defunding. I support strong law enforcement. I support strong fire services. I was endorsed by the Firefighters Union. I support giving our families a safe place to live. I have never wanted to defund any public safety, but I do believe we can have lower taxes and strong public safety at the same time. Those can go together. California residents are overtaxed across the board. It is very difficult for residents to make a living here. There are many ways we can still provide strong public safety and strong infrastructure. In my opinion, there's millions of dollars that the City Council has approved that is wasteful spending. Couple examples, $6.6 million on an amphitheater when our infrastructure is crumbling, when over $1 million comes from the general fund. That could have improved a lot of roads. That could have hired a lot of police officers, which I would have supported. $700,000 to revisit a general plan amendment to add more houses, annexing houses towards Winchester. There we go. In 1 year, that's over $7 million that could go to other projects and other things that our city needs. So we can have low taxes and strong public safety. Those are conservative values. I'll tout, I'm a conservative. Is that not what conservatives believe? Low taxes, strong military, low taxes, strong first responders. That's what I believe. So if we're smart with the budget we have now, smart with the money we have now, we can have both.
So the question is, do you support Measure DD?
I do not support raising taxes.
So you would repeal Measure DD?
Correct.
Next question is for Bob Carwin. Yes. You can have a quick follow-up.
Okay,
Can you turn
there we
the
go.
microphone?
So I just want to make clarification on the amphitheater. Before Councilmember Estrada joined our council, we had already been working on that for 2 years. Part of our strategic plan is social infrastructure. That $6.6 million, most of it was used from restricted funds and one-time money. And our police and fire have not suffered from it. We've been able to fund them. We are funding our road infrastructure improvement projects as much as we can handle each year. Nothing is suffering, but we now have a benefit for our residents to be able to have a place to go for their families and friends and communities. So
Okay, thank you, Lisa. Question for Bob Carwin. The city has tried to work with the owners in Cherry Hills Plaza to revitalize the center, but with so many different owners involved, do you think there's any hope of doing this?
There is. A lot of people don't know that the Cherry Hills Plaza, which is made up of a number of buildings, each one of those buildings has a different owner. So it's not like a countryside marketplace where there's one group that manages the entire plaza. So in order to get improvements done, each of the owners has to pay in because, for example, the parking lot goes through the entire plaza. If one building pays for the whole parking lot, then the others get the benefit of the parking lot, and nobody's going to do that themselves. So one of the things we've laid the groundwork on that I would like to do in the future is create what's called a business improvement district, BID. And it's kind of the same thing as an HOA, but it's for commercial businesses. And that would bring them all together in one place where we can either accept fees from them and some sort of a tax and do it ourselves, or bring them in to discuss it all together. It's the only way we're going to do it. Right now is wrangling cats. And the problem that we have is the imbalance, because the main building in the middle is the largest owner, and they've got the majority of the businesses. That's where Casa Jimenez is, and Sun City Family Restaurant, Ready Set Game, that kind of thing. And there's the small owners all the way, and in fact, that group goes all the way across the freeway to the other side. So my plan would be a business improvement district that we've laid the groundwork on, and I think we can probably accomplish if we keep at it.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Question for Mark Harkay. You have posted on social media about the need for an Old Town entertainment and dining district in Menifee. Where could this be created? There isn't an Old Town historic district in Menifee, so how could you create that feeling with all new structures?
Old Town was just a reference as far as a destination place. That's where I go. I mean, when I want to go out and go out to dinner, maybe have a cocktail somewhere, I go to Old Town Temecula. I think we should build something like that. It doesn't have to be an Old Town, or be a main street or something like that, and you can build it to look however you want. But have a destination place here locally that would actually draw people from the other cities here, and keep that money here. All these, if you go throughout Southern California, you go to Pasadena, you go to all these little cities, they do have their Old Town, but we could build something similar however we wanted to. And it would just be, I was thinking off of Han or something like that. The place has to be close enough to the freeway where people could have access to it. But yeah, I think we could, if you had a great place that you could walk around, spend an afternoon, not just a strip mall. I mean, the theater, that's great. You can go to the movies, maybe go to dinner afterwards, but you're not going to walk around in the strip mall. But just something like that, which would be a destination to attract people. I think that's something that's worthy of discussing anyways.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Question for Jean Recor. Simple question here. Rather than stating what you plan on doing in the next 4 years, please describe how you have been involved in the community in the last 4 years.
Good question. The last 4 years I have not been as much involved as I like to. I've watched an elementary school be built right in front of me. We went to the meetings to make sure that was moved more to the east on us, but we're just like you guys, working every day, and spending my time with my family.
Okay, thank you. Dan Temple, what type of commercial development do you think is most important to bring to District 3?
Well, the most important commercial development to District 3, I would think, would include manufacturing, tech, biomed, office space. That's something that we have, I think, a lack of in our city. Our office spaces for people to conduct business, bring in business, quality space like that. Currently, in the Southern Economic Corridor, south of Scott Road, there are some businesses going in. I know that things have been developed there. They've got small shops. They have a view that they could have office buildings and structures in there. I think that would be a fine addition to District 3. Also, in the area around Scott and Antelope, that's scheduled as mixed use and commercial. And I would hate to see anything like a pop-up or I know it's not zoned for that, warehouse or anything like that, anything ugly and unsightly go in there. But I think they could certainly bring in some good businesses. You know, how great would it be to have like a Bass Pro Shop in that little section right there, something like that. But offices, manufacturing, tech.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Felix Montano, you say you want to push for a clear plan to guide the city's growth, including necessary upgrades and expansions. What specific things would that plan include?
Well, safety, and putting in more lights, putting in more stop signs, making people more aware that we have a community, that we do have kids running around all over the place. We do have a lot of people, parents, unfortunately work sometimes, not because they want to, they have to. And so I definitely have to look at our safety. Everybody's running around like crazy. They're running out of their houses in the morning and they're speeding. So for me, it's getting that in line and tuned with more enforcement. I hate the fact that we have chaos off Newport in the morning and people always walk that intersection. That's the thing I have to pay for like 10 minutes and there's no police around and it drives me nuts. But that's just me experiencing that area. And I know anybody who lives in the Newport area, God forbid, you guys pay the price there more dearly than I do, but we have to definitely work on our infrastructure, look at it, where is our money going, where is our budget going, where can we take money out and put it back in our infrastructure. That's what I'm focusing on.
Okay, thank you. Okay, for Lisa Sobek, amphitheater question. The $6 million amphitheater now under construction has been criticized by some on social media because of the cost. I understand it's being built mostly with funds restricted to parks and recreation, but this was a project that 2 council members, including Mayor Bill Zimmerman, voted against because of the cost. Were other options also considered for those funds? And how many construction bids were reviewed before this was approved?
So, anytime the city puts something out for bid, it has to go through the official bidding process. And the majority of the council did vote for this to pass. The mayor, and he mentioned to me afterwards, he says, you know, we made a decision, we don't always agree, but let's move on. I support it 100%, it was a decision made. So yes, restricted funds, one-time money. You know, we could have maybe took a little bit of that money here, a little bit of that money here, a little bit of that money here, and you know our city would still never have an amphitheater. So you're going to have an amphitheater, you're going to have a place to enjoy, you're going to have a place to make memories with your family, your children, your grandchildren, your neighbors. We're going to be able to bring in entertainment for you. One thing that our residents, I hear all the time, what do we have to do in Menifee? There's nothing to do. Now, say if George Gregorian had gone through with his movie entertainment center, yes, we would have maybe something, but this was something the city had worked on. Dean Dinas and I were on, and along with our Parks and Trail commissioners, we served on that ad hoc committee. We brought it back, and I will tell you, I am proud of what we're going to deliver for you and the memories that are going to be able to be made there. Remember, nothing else is suffering. We're funding our police. We're funding our infrastructure. We have $750 million worth of projects identified for the next 5 years. If we were to take every single penny we had as a city, we wouldn't be able to complete those. We are a growing city, and so we have a plan. And in that plan, we look at it every year. We look to see where we need to adjust it. We do, and we move forward.
Okay, thank you. Yes, you want to make a follow-up to that? Go ahead.
Can you hear me? Okay, thank you. Yes, this amphitheater was initially supposed to be $40,000, $400,000. I don't remember the exact, but it wasn't supposed to be $6.6 million. Okay, the problem was that it never went out to bid to begin with. Okay, Councilwoman Sobek was on the ad hoc committee with Councilmember Dynas, and both of them oversaw the increase in this spending for the project. Okay, now she is back on another ad hoc committee, and I have fears, hopefully this doesn't get more expensive past the $6.6 million. That $6.6 million can be used for infrastructure, hiring more police officers. In my judgment, we could be using that money to better our community, fix the deficiencies that are already going on. We're shooting ourselves in the foot with the majority of the council voting for these things. $6.6 million on an amphitheater, increasing the housing density. I have a voting record of not increasing housing density, like the Golden Meadows project in a rural community by Menifee Valley Middle School. I have a voting record of not increasing the apartment density to high density residential. Why are we doing this, folks? Why are we increasing housing density and taking money away from critical infrastructure projects?
Ricky,
Yes.
the money was earmarked for parks and recreation, not infrastructure.
There's parks and recreation, and then there was a $2 million contribution from waste management, and there was over $1 million that was for the general fund. So it's not just restricted funds for the park. There are other funds that could have been distributed to relieving traffic congestion, and that should be our priority here in Menifee. You hear all the other candidates talk about it, everyone. We have too much housing.
We're going to move on to the next question. For Damian Green. It has been articulated over the years from economic development and from the city council dais that Menifee's goal is to get mortgage-paying jobs into the city. According to a local realtor, the median price single-family home in southwest Riverside County in 2023 is approximately $612,000, and the minimum household income to afford this home is approximately $165,000 per year. My question is, what are those mortgage-paying jobs that the city of Menifee is attempting to attract, and where will those businesses be located?
Great question. I believe that the increase in pay will help that. To go into the housing, infrastructures, the businesses, and all of that will be right there by City Hall. Those businesses and those employees will be compensated if I am mayor. That will grow all of our infrastructure. That will help all of us build better environments, better, it will help our community and our infrastructure and our quality of life. More and more of Sun City is being looked over, and I believe that if we come together as a council, we can make all of Menifee better and affordable and have the great paying jobs to afford these homes. That's $600,000.
Okay, thank you. Question for Ricky Estrada. And several people sent in basically the same question, so I tried to pick one that basically summarized what they're all asking. What advantage do you think you would have as mayor rather than staying as a District 2 representative? They both get just one vote on the council. You really have no more power. On the other hand, one thing the mayor does is represent the city at a lot of weekday events, as Bill Zimmerman has done during his retirement. You have a day job as a school teacher and aren't able to attend as many events. Therefore, wouldn't you actually be less valuable as mayor than as the District 2 rep?
Well, I would like to repeat what I said in my opening statement. It depends. I can go to all the ribbon cuttings and all the breakfasts, networking events, but when I come to vote to the dais, what policies am I voting for? And I feel like my policies represent what the people want. Less housing density, less warehouses, less wasteful spending. Now there are a couple of things that the mayor can do that haven't been discussed. The mayor can choose the appointments to all the committees. 1. 2, the mayor can set the agenda, can add or remove items from the agenda. And 3, I think it would be beneficial if we had a new majority on the council because as of right now, if I move over into mayor, someone new steps into District 2. We have 3 great candidates here for District 3. We might have a new candidate here for District 1. The whole makeup of the council can change in November, and the policies and the direction of the council can change. The vision Menifee residents want is less housing density, more economic development, strong public safety. And if we are able to have a majority in the council that has that vision and delivers for the people, I think the people would be happy.
So your strategy is just to get more voting in your favor when it comes to decisions on city council. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think the 4 to 1,
Getting tired of the 4 to 1.
the 3 to 2s on the warehousing and the housing density, if we continue on this trajectory, you're going to see more of the same.
So what would you say to the people who are angered that there will be a cost to spend, if you were to win, there'd have to be a special election to replace you on District 2, and there would be a cost.
Sure. Yeah, actually, electing me and then having a special election. Special elections have an estimate. I've seen special elections in our region, and they have an estimate of $50,000 to $70,000. You change the majority on the council, I'm going to save us money. Instead of $6.6 million on an amphitheater, $700,000 on taking more from houses from Winchester. Electing me and having a new majority, we're saving hundreds of thousands of dollars.
How are you going to take money from the amphitheater project that's already been approved?
Going forward, we would be saving on projects. But how about Mr. Spoon, one project that hasn't gone through? $700,000 on annexing more homes from Winchester. A special election at $50,000 to $70,000. I'm saving the residents $600,000 and decreasing your housing density. What you want.
Okay, thank you. Bob Carlin, question related to District 1. The city has purchased the former Bank of America building on Cherry Hills Boulevard to use as a police substation. How much of a difference do you think this will make on safety and homelessness in the area? And do you know the timetable for its opening?
We have a substation right now in the Cherry Hills Plaza that is not a fully functional police station. County workers go there to do reports, police officers go there to do reports occasionally, but it's not fully functional. You can't go in to the counter and speak to a police officer, and there isn't a full-service police presence in the plaza with that substation. The Bank of America building was purchased for 2 reasons. One, because we're running out of space at City Hall. The current City Hall building we're in is a rental. So we're running out of space. We're trying to find ways to accommodate different departments. Second, it's going to be built out as a full-service police substation that's going to have counter service. It's going to have officers there on site. We're going to be having officers going through. It's at the top of the Cherry Hills Plaza, so for them to get anywhere, they've got to go through Cherry Hills Plaza, and they're going to be having lunch at the restaurants there, picking up at the drive-thrus there, and all of that kind of thing. So that's going to be a major boon to public service, and homeless people tend to not like it when there's a lot of police around. So the more police we can add to Cherry Hills Plaza, the less homeless people you're going to see. Timetable, here's what we didn't know when we bought that 60-year-old building. It's got asbestos. That's what we said. So the timeline that we had hoped is a little slower because we have to go through and hazmat it out and remove the asbestos from it, but that's being done. And it's not going to stop us from doing what we need to do. It just set us back a little bit. So we're probably about a good year away from that being done, but it's not 5, 10, 15 years in the future. Our workers are there trying to get it done, to get it up and running as quickly as possible. We're just set back by that one development.
Okay, thank you for that. Question for Mark Harkey. I know you mentioned homelessness, problems in the Cherry Hills Plaza with that. The question is, currently homelessness does not seem to be a major problem in our city relative to other local cities at least. But what will you do to help ensure that homelessness is minimized in Menifee? Could you give us any specific ideas?
I think the police need to be tasked with that. You're going to get more of what you allow. I mean, we see that throughout Southern California. My parents used to live in LA. They recently passed away, so thank God I don't have to go there anymore. But I drove my daughter through where I grew up, and there were homeless everywhere. And she's like, you grew up here? And I'm like, it wasn't like this when I grew up. There were people camping out in the medians, the streets. And once you let a problem fester and get that big, it takes on a life of its own, and it's almost impossible to stop it. So what I'd like to do is you always lead with compassion. You always offer help. There are plenty of services that these people can be, steered towards. But if they repeatedly reject help, you can't allow people to be comfortable camping out on your streets. You can't. And that's something the police have to do by being a presence. And, almost like if a car's abandoned and you write a ticket for it, you got to write a ticket or do something to make them pack up and move somewhere else. Even if it's just down the street, eventually they're going to get tired and they'll go somewhere else. And, that's the only thing I see that can be done. I mean, otherwise it's going to grow.
So, yeah, go ahead.
I just want everybody to know, last Wednesday at the city, we held a 2-hour homeless workshop where we went through a 26-point plan that will help us regionally eliminate and reduce and hopefully eliminate homelessness. By the way, the last point in time count in 2023, Menifee had 18 homeless people who were regular contacts with our police force. We went through and counted every single one, compared to Murrieta's 165 and Temecula's, I believe, 73. So it's a regional problem, but on August 5th, we had a forum hosted by our chief of police where we met with all of the business owners in Sun City, asked them what they were seeing, what the patterns were, and what they think we could do to eliminate it. Along with that homelessness workshop we just had, there's another workshop coming up that I'm not sure when it is, and then there's another one on November 5th, Election Day, sorry, but it's going to be the follow-up to the first one. And we've also, one of the last thing I want to make is we have gone to the step of hiring at the police department a homeless liaison officer, Rochelle Hunter, who's dedicated only. She doesn't wear a gun, she travels with the officers, and she's the one in charge of contacting each of these individuals. She knows them all by name, she knows their family histories, she knows their stories, and it takes dozens and dozens and dozens of contacts before they'll contact her. But at this point, we have kept the homeless population kind of in check. 2022, it was 28 people. 2023, it was 25 people. 2024, it was 18. So it's actually going down because of our efforts.
Thank you. Question for Gene Recor. This is a popular question for our readers. Do you support the development of more warehouses in our city? Why or why not?
No, because they're low-paying jobs. Anybody that drives up to 215 can see every warehouse there is and how much it takes, and they said the pollution that it brings in, it's just not a good thing. We've got to really watch what we bring in, more tech jobs, and do tech fairs or job fairs and bring in companies that want to give good paying jobs.
So what would you do with the areas that are zoned specifically for that kind of thing?
We'd have to really, as a membership of the council, we'd have to really look into it and make sure that we have good paying jobs that are coming with those areas that are zoned for that, and make sure that the general plan fits that.
Okay, we may come back to that subject with some other candidates here. I've got a different topic for Dan Temple. I know you're very interested in prioritizing public safety. This one, my wife will agree with this, but she's harping all the time on me about this one. This question was not from her, however. I have noticed more and more e-bikes on the road lately, mostly ridden by kids. Half the time they're wearing helmets and the other half they don't. And they don't abide by the laws of the road. If they're driving on the street, they need to go by the same rules as a car. They don't stop for red lights or stop signs, and they go pretty fast. I would like to know what can be done to enforce the laws and stop a tragedy from happening.
So, yeah, I noticed when I answered my first question, I was looking at you the entire time. I'm sorry. I'll look at you. So yeah, those e-bikes, they've been an interesting thing. They've become so popular that you can't go anywhere in Menifee without seeing them. And I know where we live, and probably where most of you live, they're going very fast on the sidewalk. They're going down the street very fast, sometimes without a helmet, and oftentimes they go right through intersections without stopping. And they do represent a safety issue as well as a liability. And a lot of times when people see something like that, but the biggest liability I think is on the person that is involved in that collision, you and I, because suddenly we've got to deal with something that we're part of, an injury to another person, usually it's going to be a child. We've got to deal with the insurance issues, the damage, the trauma that involves with us. So it's not just them that are in danger, but us as well. I love our police department. I think we have a fantastic police department. I'm so glad that through Major DD, we have them, we funded them. How to deal with the e-bikes? That's going to come down to enforcement with the police department. I know that often in a police department, the motorcycle officers are the ones tasked with traffic laws, writing the tickets. I don't know how many of you have been in contact with them, but I think maybe an emphasis needs to be given on all officers in cars and on motorcycles to enforce the traffic laws that these e-bikes are subject to. Speed laws, regular traffic control devices, they need to be looked at, they need to be ticketed. And in the areas like schools where there's a time where they're more often present and likely to be, then we increase enforcement in those areas at that particular time. It's interesting that we know there's a problem and we know when the problem occurs. Let's put the police there and let them do their jobs, ticket these kids if that's what it comes down to, provide some education to them and their parents, and that'll decrease the problem.
Okay, thank you. Kaylee, the numbers shrank. Oh, there we go. Okay. Thank you. Now we can see it better. Felix Montano, you have talked about working with private developers to help share the costs of building and maintaining our infrastructure. Isn't that happening already? How could more be done? Please explain.
I'm not sure if it's actually happening or not. That's just me being honest. I would have to actually be involved and look and do the research. If it is happening, great. We need to make it more steeper, I would say steeper fines, steeper permits. The fact that they want a new building, they want a new neighborhood, well, we're paying for the asphalt, the plumbing, the electrical, so they need to pay a little bit more of a larger portion on that. And so it's just the only way to keep our infrastructure intact, because as we pour in more areas that we're developing and creating streets and electrical and plumbing and sewers, what about the rest of it that's already deteriorating? So we need to look at our permits. We need to look at what kind of, if the deal has been made, you can't go back, but anybody coming in new builder-wise, we need to go ahead and restructure how we deal with new business and new development.
Okay, thank you. Question for Lisa Sobek. This kind of goes along with that because we get a lot of comments on social media from people saying, why do they keep building things before they've got better roads? The question here is, what can the city do to build more infrastructure without always waiting for developers to start their work? Is there some way to get ahead of the game in overcrowding?
So yes, as some building has come in, first of all, it takes rooftops for them to afford to build their infrastructure. But the city on some projects has been able to ask those developers for upfront. That happened on McCall Boulevard and Menifee Road. You'll see that developer, before he put in his shops, which are just starting, he put the infrastructure in first. So there is sometimes a way to do that. But the rooftops are what attract the Trader Joe's, which will attract the retail. Then they want to be here. And then every single project, the city mitigates what they need to do. Whether it's a street light. A street light can cost $1 million. Holland and Menifee is a perfect example of that. The street light in front of MSJC. So we have a pavement management program. We just recently had a survey done of all of our streets. We're going to be receiving that survey, and that will put which street comes first. It's a year-to-year cycle, and we put a lot of money into infrastructure. As I mentioned earlier, our 5-year capital improvement budget is $750 million. Holland Road alone was $35 million. That's a multi-year savings that we have to put money aside for those large projects. But we're doing it. We've got Bradley Road totally funded with the help of Congressman Calvert. And part of our job as council people and a full-time mayor is meeting with those people, going to RCTC meetings, going to WRCOG meetings. It will be up to us to make sure we get that money back in our city. And that is something that we've been able to do. Those of us who have time to represent the city of Menifee, we've brought money back to get these projects done.
Okay, thank you. Question for Damian Green. Construction is underway for a 680 megawatt battery storage facility in Menifee, one of the largest of its kind in the nation. Some residents have expressed concern about the impact this facility might have on the area. What are your thoughts on this?
I agree with the citizens. Safety first. I don't believe that we should have a building like that with all those batteries to do that with. No, I'm with the community. I am for the people, so I agree with them.
You're concerned about health hazards possibly?
Yes, very concerned.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Ricky Estrada, question for you. How will you lead the city council to work with the city manager to improve overall operations, minimize employee turnover, hire more city workers to expedite city services, and increase business relations that will positively increase revenue streams?
I definitely believe that we need to have a positive, welcoming culture at City Hall. I think our city council does a pretty good job of being respectful, being welcoming to all of the employees. Most of us, if not all of us actually, always go to their community, employee luncheons, employee events. We go out there to show support. We often show support for the police departments, fundraisers, and their after-hours events. So as city council members, we're there to show moral support. And I think Armando Villa does a pretty good job of offering additional trainings to our employees to make sure they're well prepared, have the education background, and are ready to deal with the situations going forward.
Okay, thank you. Okay, question for Bob Carwin. Many residents I know feel that our voices are not heard even when we reach out directly to the city. How do you plan to engage with residents to ensure their voices are heard in decision-making processes?
Really difficult task. Whenever I go to city events, whether it's Foodie Friday or moving in the park or anything like that, the first thing I ask people that I encounter is, how did you hear about this? Because people are so splintered. And in District 1, we have Sun City, which with a lot of seniors who aren't active on social media. Our city is really working hard to bolster social media, Instagram and all of those kinds of things. But a lot of people aren't on there. One of the things that I've done that none of my predecessors did was I have a monthly column in the Core Courier, the Sun City Core Courier, where I don't talk about myself or political things. I say, here's updates of what's going on in the city. And at the end of every column, it comes out once a month, is my email address. And inevitably, I know when the column comes out because the day that the newspaper comes out, I get about 5 to 10 emails from the public. And I respond to everyone. I think I've responded to every single one. My personal cell phone is on my business card. So I'm accessible. But going out into the community, that's one of the things that's important. It's not just photo opportunities of going to the ribbon cuttings and things like that. That's actually where the people are. You have to go out into the community. So when you go to a new restaurant ribbon cutting and the owner and their family and members of the community are there, you're talking to them. So going to these public events throughout the city, I go to 3 or 4 a week, I'm seeing people and I'm engaging. The Chamber of Commerce has been wonderful for that, getting the community involved in our businesses and things like that. So attending the city events is probably the most important way we can go out to people who aren't able to reach out to us. But then, I know that the mayor gets about 5,000 to 6,000 emails a day, I think, which is why I'm not running for mayor. I'm happy with my 5 to 10 a week. But that's really what we need to do, is we encourage people to use the city app to tell us when things are going on. Get out there, call me, email me, come to city council, stand at the dais and tell me what I'm missing.
Okay, thank you. Question from Mark Harkay. Open space in District 1 is limited. Do you see a way to create more parks and recreational space in Sun City?
Well, I mean, you could maybe convince the owners of the golf course now, you know, the people that are planning to build the homes there, to maybe put some of that in there. I mean, a nice driving range, a really nice one would be cool. You know, something, you know, top line. Maybe north in the Sun City area, south of Ethonac, there's some open space there that could be used. I think we need a couple nice parks. It would be nice for, you know, for the residents. There's really nothing like that in that part of town. And yeah, I would encourage the council to really look at that. And you know, that area is kind of, all the other growth that happens all around, they got all the nice shiny new stuff. But Sun City is, you know, is kind of right there in the middle, and a lot of the residents I talk to, they're just like, you know, what about us? So that's what I think. You know, we need to really look into that and push for it.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Short, simple question for Gene Recor. What do you believe are the biggest challenges facing Menifee?
They're all listed on my flyers. The traffic woes, that's the biggest one right there.
Okay. Do you have any other concerns that you would want to address on the council?
Our budget, our roads, our infrastructure, same thing. What we bring in for like jobs and businesses, we need to bring in more mom and pop. With everything we bring in, I feel like it's Orange County. We have every corporate, from Applebee's to all them. We need to bring in some mom and pop stores and support the businesses more. Everybody talks about bringing it in, but we need to support more of what we have. You know, everybody, as myself, we pay a business license. What do we get for that? A piece of paper? We should do something more for them.
Okay, thank you. Question for Dan Temple. You mentioned economic development as one of your main goals. What policies do you envision that could help promote local businesses?
Well, one of the things, and Gene just mentioned it, one of the things that we lack in Menifee, I think, are the traditional businesses, other than, you know, the Popeyes and McDonald's, you know, things that we want to go to that will hire people, employ people, bring in some tax revenue. The city has several programs. The Economic Development Department has the menu program, which allows and incentivizes different experiential restaurants to come into the area, like a theater type restaurant or something that offers sit down capacity. The city has those types of programs. By utilizing and incentivizing these types of businesses to come to Menifee, we're going to have the things, first of all, that we want. You know, we don't want to go to Del Taco every night for dinner. You know, we want to go to some place that allows us to sit down and enjoy. We don't necessarily want to shop at Target. Target's great, but maybe we want to shop at a small, locally owned business. The city can incentivize, provide tax breaks, assist in the acquisition of the land, of the licenses, etc., to bring those businesses in. That's what I would like to see more of. I want to see the city really meet and develop a relationship with potential owners so that they want to come here and do business, and that's what we need to continue to develop. I don't know, as I'm not a business owner, I don't know what the spirit is in City Hall, but the city of Menifee should be a place where people want to come, open up a business, develop something here where it's easy, it's incentivized, and we are helping them to bring money, bring a product, and employ people here within our own town.
Okay, thank you, Peter. Thank you. Felix Montano. You have mentioned expanding the public transit system and promoting alternatives like biking that will help reduce traffic and offer more options. Can you expand on that?
Definitely more bike lanes. We don't see that many around. And in regards to the e-bikes, yes, there has to be a controlled amount. It goes back to the parents. That's why I don't buy any of the e-bikes for my 3 boys, because I know they're going to go out there, even if you buy them helmets. So obviously the responsibility comes from the parents. If the parents still did their due diligence and the kids are still doing what they want, we need enforcement. We need more public transportation where the kids are pushed to go ahead and not want that vehicle to take the bus or take the bike to the bus, and then if it's a long trip and you can't give them a ride, take the bus. Have them experience a little bit more of what we grew up, what I grew up. Keeps them humble, keeps them appreciative of things. I think as a city that we're growing, we're trying to eliminate those things, not because sometimes we want to or we're not thinking about it, just we want to go from A to B as fast as we can. And we miss certain things that are very vital for the new generation to learn and to absorb, and it's important for them as they become young adults. So.
Okay, thank you. Lisa, I know we've discussed, touched a little bit on the Krikorian Theater. Here's another question about it. The city of Menifee won the right in court to demolish the Krikorian Theater structure. Understanding that this is private property, how do you think the city could have better handled the situation, and what do you think the city can do to influence a better outcome for this property?
Okay, I missed the first part of your question.
Understanding that it's private property, how do you think the city could have better handled the situation, and what do you think the city can do to influence a better outcome?
So the city worked very hard. You know, they were ahead of schedule. What happened in 2020, the state shut them down. So the state shut them down from building, made the contractors get off the property. So we were patient for 2 years. For 2 years, we worked with Mr. Krikorian, our economic development department worked hard with him. We made some changes, we separated the retail, he told us that would go first, and nothing happened. So we started the legal process. You know, he's a savvy businessman. He knows how to work the court system, and he held it up in court every single time. We finally, as Councilmember Carwin said, it was finally us who pushed. We've got to put pressure on him. And because of that, do you know, it was actually an escrow in August. There was an entertainment company who wanted to purchase it, but Mr. Krikorian wasn't willing to work with him. So there's some liens on the property, and the entertainment company said, hey, we'll pay for the liens, but lower the price. Or you pay for the liens, and we'll pay you what you want. Didn't happen, there was crickets. So that company pulled out. So what will happen is we're going to move forward. It's going to come down, that eyesore is coming down. We're going to go through that. If somebody comes along during the time this is happening, because it's going to take a few months for that to happen, to go out to bid and get it torn down. If somebody comes along and they can show that they're interested in that property and that's going to help get them that bank loan, we'll enter that with a new entertainment company or somebody else that would like to buy it, that would bring in a quality project here in the city of Menifee. So there really is nothing else we could have done different. Really, we had to follow the law, and we did it, and we moved forward. Finally, we had to put pressure on them, and the pressure is bringing results.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
So, what we do in life is we make mistakes and we learn.
Can we get his microphone turned on?
Hello? Okay. So what we do in life is when you make mistakes, and that's how you learn. The bad part is when you make the mistake over and over again, and it creates a nasty cycle. So off that issue, if the finger pointing is not going to help, it's what can you learn from that? I don't know if that's the case. I would have to do more research and ask the council, who's right now in place and did those decisions, is where there are clauses in place in the contract that if they staggered or they didn't do any movement for a certain amount of time, that the city now has eminent domain in regards to taking over and taking full responsibility and taking over the whole property and the project. So that's stuff that you can learn as mistakes happen or issues happen, and you can add those clauses to a contract when you have large projects like this going forward. So that's what I'm trying to say. Like, we learn from your mistakes, and what can you do different? So you make a better decision moving forward.
Yes, Lisa.
Especially on large projects, there's a development agreement put into every project that we do as a city. We have to. Our city attorney has to look at every single contract. And as a city, we're a government agency. We have laws to follow, but we have mandates that were put in place, and that's how we were finally able to move along. As I mentioned, Mr. Concorian's a very savvy businessman. He knows how to block things in court. In fact, he still owes his contractors and subcontractors. He keeps continuing that court process down the road, kicking that can down the road. So, as a city, we do have those things in place, and we are responsible.
Okay, let's move on. Question for Damian Green. Damian, will you support a property tax exemption for veterans, which some people in Menifee have been advocating for and can be approved at the city level by law? Would you be in favor of that?
Most definitely I will. I greatly thank our veterans and those that serve in our military. Yes, most definitely I will agree with that.
So would you, what would you say to people in other circumstances that come forward and say, I deserve a property tax exemption because of difficulty in my family or whatever? Are we going to put veterans in that one, just the one category that would receive that?
No, I believe we can come up with something for all of our constituents here in Menifee to allow a tax cut if they're having problems paying their mortgages or anything like that.
Okay, Lisa?
Yes. So I'd just like to share that when we went through this process and this was brought up to the council, there is state programs in place, okay? So if you were to allow one protected class, you would open the can for every single protected class in the city to be able to do that. And when you do look at your property tax bill, it's the ad valorem part. We receive, as a city, to take care of your roads, to pay for your police officers, to pay for your firefighters, maybe to do some parks infrastructure. We get 13 cents on a dollar. So individually, which I love our veterans. My son has served in the military, my father and my grandfather. We have a wonderful VFW in the city and a lot of veterans. In fact, we have almost 11% of our population is veterans. So, yes, thank you for your service. But individually, they may save a few $100s a year, but collectively, you just have wiped out road infrastructure, street light improvements, losing a few police officers and losing a few firefighters. My suggestion when that came before us was let's work with our Chamber of Commerce. Let's work with our local business owners. Let's put money in the pockets every day of those veterans. Let's provide some incentives for those veterans through our businesses.
Okay, Ricky, you want to weigh in on that? I think you would.
Thank you. Yes, I brought this up to the city council level because I understand that our military and our veterans need help. You know, there are already programs in place that help our veterans with their home. Menifee is not creating a new idea. You know, these men and women who raised their right hand, lost their limbs, some spouses have lost their loved ones, and I think at the local level, we should advocate for our veterans, and instead of being politicians who walk the walk, who say we love our veterans, we want to help them, but never help them financially, is hypocritical. The federal government gives them VA home loans. The state government gives them property tax exemptions, but it's very hard to qualify for the state level exemptions. So homelessness is a real thing. Homelessness amongst our veterans are a real thing. Homeless senior veterans is a real thing. And when they're living paycheck to paycheck, these hundreds of dollars can make a difference and get them by. I think we need to do our due diligence, do the cost-benefit analysis. We can support our veterans, and we can do it in a great way. Councilwoman Sobek, I will respectfully disagree with just partnering with the chamber when we had this discussion. You said we should have stickers on the front of our businesses and give them a free scoop of ice cream. That's not going to fix
All right,
anything.
we're not going to get into a back and forth between candidates.
Okay.
We're going to move on.
Okay.
I do have another question for you, Ricky. You have spoken out against warehouses in the city, but there are areas designated for such facilities. Do you think it's possible to keep additional warehouses out altogether? You have called warehouse jobs low-paying jobs with poor working conditions. Don't you feel that's an unfair generality?
No, I think the Menifee City Council has within its purview to change its general plan, to change its zoning laws. Before I was elected in 2020, I believe, is when I saw the city council meeting where the city council struck out warehouses from Scott Road, struck out warehouses from McCall, but they left it on Ethan Ave. Now, isn't the whole reason we became a city to have control over our general plan, to have control over our own zoning laws? So the city council should be more aggressive in addressing these issues, revisiting its zoning, revisiting what we have already set out. Now, it's going to be very difficult, I'm going to be honest. A lot of these projects have been approved, but there are some things we can still do to mitigate it. Potential moratoriums, potential rezoning of areas that haven't been developed, but a lot of these titles have been approved, a lot of the damage has been done, but as your city council member, I will do my best to mitigate this.
Okay, thank you. Question for Bob Collins. You've been on the council for 4 years and you've been very involved with projects in the city. Just a general question here. What do you believe are the biggest challenges facing Menifee?
Well, the biggest challenge we've got right now is fixing a lot of the things we inherited from the county. One of the problems that people don't realize is that we've only been a city since 2008. The Countryside Marketplace, do you hate the parking and the driving in Countryside Marketplace? That was designed by the County Planning Commission and was here in our city. The lighting sequences across the freeways, where the bridge, like for example, where Newport goes over the 215, the lights on the freeway overpass are controlled by Caltrans. We can't sync those to our lights even if we wanted to. We have to work with Caltrans to do that. So there are a lot of things, because we're so new, that we haven't incorporated yet into it. So things we do need to change. We do need to spread out our economic development. I would like to see more economic development in other districts, along with District 1, but we've done great in District 1 so far. One of the things that we were missing is variety, and in District 1 we've got mom and pop restaurants popping up, mom and pop activity places. Ready, Set, Game comes to mind, Melody Thai. I could go through a commercial for all of them. Lady R Bistro now. She changed the name from Lady M. If you haven't heard yet, quick commercial for her. One of the biggest problems that's facing us that we can solve, that we have a solution for and haven't been able to implement, is sequencing the traffic lights along Newport Road. What happened was we bought the equipment to interconnect, but because we're a new city, we don't have underground fiber optics yet, so we had to do it through Wi-Fi. But unfortunately, the equipment failed. We got bad equipment, and we brought it to the vendor. It was under warranty. They fixed the equipment for us. But one of the things we're lacking right now is a qualified technician to operate and monitor the system. And we're recruiting for it, but there's a lot of cities out there that are larger than us and have bigger systems that are paying more. So that's one of the biggest problems that we have, that we're facing, that we can solve and will solve in the next 6 to 7 months.
Okay, thank you. Question from Mark Hartley. You have spoken about the deterioration of roads in the city. Do you believe Sun City gets its fair share of road maintenance compared to other sections of the city? Should road maintenance get more of the city funding?
I don't see, I see a lot of roads that need repair up there. I mean, just a lot. They're the oldest roads in town. They just are. And, everybody else, all the new developments all around, they all get nice new roads, nice smooth roads. I love smooth roads. When I first moved to Temecula from San Diego, that was the first thing I noticed back in 1998, was how smooth the roads are. I was just like in shock. And, now it's not like that anymore. But coming here, the roads need to be resurfaced. You can't just keep patching stuff up. That just makes it, bumpier. The rain comes, then it's no better off than it was before. So, District 1 does need, I think, more funding. Whether it's some kind of formula that is put in place or figured out where X amount of dollars are being spent by a developer to repair one area of Menifee, X amount of dollars, a percentage of it should be spent in District 1 to repair the roads. That, you know, just trying to brainstorm and put ideas out there. The other thing, I don't know if there's warehouses that are scheduled to be built up near Ithanac on the top portion of that, but if there are, that needs to stop. They can all stay in Paris. We do not need distribution centers. The 215 freeway with all those warehouses that have been built, all those distribution centers, that freeway is undrivable now up there because of all the trucks. And if you bring that to Menifee, that's what we're going to get on our roads and on our freeway. So that's just my position.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Gene report. How do you plan to stimulate Menifee's economy without approving additional warehouse or housing development projects? How do you propose we fund infrastructure, road maintenance, and city beautification efforts?
It's a process of looking at what we have already. And we're, as Ricky said, there's a lot of funds that are out there that need to go to different places and not directly to the ones they are. So we need to work on getting those funds, see where they are, look at the budget, and do that more to bring in more tax dollars. It was like, if we take on this annexation, how much more money are we going to get for putting out $750,000 to annex it? That, I don't know. You have to find out all the numbers, put them together, and see what kind of, there's a lot more to this question than just being able to answer it right off the top, to know all the businesses that are here, all the money that we're already paying. There's already the money that's coming in constantly right now. So we have that. We just need to fund it the right way to make sure everything works for everybody.
Okay, thank you. Dan Central. Warehouses is kind of a hot topic here. What's your take on do you support more warehouses in Menifee? What's your position on that?
No, I do not support more warehouses in Menifee. When I've had to travel up the 215, I think it's appalling what's happened to Paris and Moreno Valley, and as you continue on to LA. I recognize that they do provide a job for people. I do recognize that the logistics industry is certainly necessary. I'm a beneficiary of that when I order on Amazon. But I do not think that our city needs that. I recall I was talking yesterday with some people. I remember about a year or two ago when there was an issue to strike some language down or change some language in some zoning. And I went to the city council meeting to speak out on that issue and to, let's see if I can get this correct now, to support the striking of the language that would have allowed warehouses to go up along the freeway on Hahn Road south of Lowe's all the way to Scott. And I can just remember how awful I thought that would make our city. And at that city council meeting, I was one of about 18, 20 people that spoke in opposition to that, or supported the change. And there were 3 people who wanted that. And all 3 were from Orange and LA County. They were the owners of the property and the builders who were going to benefit financially from that project. So no, I'm absolutely against any further warehouses in Menifee, except from those that are currently planned. But I don't want them anywhere else. They are planned up in Ithanac, and I'm okay with that. It's a necessary evil, but no more.
Okay, thank you. Felix, very simple question. Why are you running for the District 3 council seat?
Because things need to be taken into account in regards to change, going back to the safety, going back to our infrastructure, going back to our growth. We need to slow down. I don't support any more warehouses. I have yards. I do commercial landscaping. I work for a commercial landscape company. I work in one of the yards in Bloomington. Good God, it's bad. I have a sister-in-law who lives in Fontana. Buildings have gone up. Amazon has put business in there. Crime's gone up. No parking. It's chaotic. Break-ins, crime, everything. So no, it's just so many things need to happen. And the thing is, sometimes we wait. And I'm not saying that's the case here. I'm just saying I see things happening, and sometimes we wait till it happens. If you can catch it beforehand and address it, I think we can be in pretty good shape. That includes from our homeless issues, from our growth. This traffic is insane, and so buying the technology to control the camera system, and if they see that we have a tight flow of traffic down Newport, we'll give it a couple more minutes so we can relieve that pressure. But we're not there yet, but we're going down that path. That's one of my ideas that I had to address and to move forward with. And then moving forward with our crime that we have, unfortunately, in the Paris area that we butt next to. That's our crime. I'm very fortunate I don't have that in this area. But we need to keep moving forward. At the same time, we need to work within ourselves. I think we grew too fast. It's like my 13-year-old, he's size 11 and he's still this small. So we need to go ahead and look at ourselves internally and what we need to fix before we keep moving forward as a city.
Okay, thank you. Lisa, we've heard from several people on the warehouse issue. What's your take on this?
So before we were a city and we were the county, this county had industrial set in the northern economic gateway of our city. So as we became a city, we followed the general plan. We kept industrial and job creation in the northern gateway. There was supposed to be an Ethanac Expressway that is supposed to go from east to west through the city of Menifee, the 215, all the way over to the 15. One of the things I want to do, when I've already started, is having a conversation with RCTC and seeing how we can revitalize that east-west connector. So on the warehouses, it is a misnomer. I've gone to several workshops on it. They do have mortgage-paying jobs. There is opportunities in those. We just have David's Natural Toothpaste that is manufacturing their toothpaste in the city of Menifee. David's Natural Toothpaste, he started as a mom and pop in his house in a city to the south of us. He grew out of his house into a 5,000 square foot facility. He then moved 4 more thousand square foot across the way from him. He needed to grow again. He's now in Menifee in a 15,000 square foot facility, and his product is being distributed throughout the United States and soon to be globally. He provides local jobs. So we need job creation, but I want to mention one more thing on job creation because I've heard a little bit about it. Higher education will attract those mortgage-paying jobs. I'm on the coalition to bring higher education. We've already raised $8.5 million out of the $18 million needed for the tenant improvements. We've identified the facility. We're working with Cal State San Marcos, MSJC, and next year we can have a 4-year university.
I think that means your time is up. Okay, thank you. Time for one more question before closing statements, and that's for Ricky. All of your campaign signs throughout the city say they were funded by your campaign. However, on your most recent campaign finance disclosure form, you had only reported $19. How do you explain this?
Yes, so when I ran for office a little bit late. I didn't start early. So the next reporting statement that I'm required to submit paperwork is tomorrow, Thursday by 5 p.m. And the first large donation I took was after July, which puts me in the next campaign statement period from July 1st to September 21st. And so I will report everything by tomorrow, which I am required to comply with. So you will see that come out.
So is there some reason that you didn't report some of these donations that have allowed you to put up your signs and buy advertising?
Well, like I said, I received the donations after July 1st, and the next statement that comes out reports from July 1st to September 21st.
Okay. Thank you for answering all the questions that have been put forward by the readers, and we're going to go ahead to the closing statements, and we want to try to keep these to 1 minute, just very brief statements, and we'll start at this end with Gene Record. Closing statement.
Well, I'm running a grassroots campaign, so I'm asking you to just tell somebody or text somebody what you've seen here tonight and what will work for you. I have my phone number on my flyer that you can receive. It's a funny thing getting into this. When I saw this, I was thinking, oh, how do all these people, there's roughly probably about 25,000 people in my district, and you think, how do they pick it? I don't see 25,000 out here. I don't see 1,000 out here. There's a lot of people that didn't make it here tonight, which I hope they get to see it somehow, some way to see the view. But say it's a grassroots campaign. I didn't ask anybody for any money because y'all work hard for your money. I think it should stay in your pocket. So what you see out there is what I put out there, and word of mouth is what I'm looking forward to. So have a good night. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I thank all of you.
Okay, Dan Temple, go ahead.
Thank you. So I've enjoyed this evening. I've enjoyed listening to everybody. As a retired person, first and foremost, I'm ready to hit the ground running, prepared to attend things for city functions, both day and evening, to be at service at all times as a council member should. It's been quite some time that I've been attending city council meetings on a regular basis, participating in them, reviewing notes and the various agendas. So I'm familiar with those things. And I think most importantly, I'm ready to work together with the council, not in opposition to the council. I don't want to have a city council that is constantly in opposition, not inviting to businesses, not inviting to people that want to be here. So I'm ready to work with the city council, to work with fellow council members, and to start on the first day working for you in the city of Menifee. Thank you.
Thank you. Felix Montano, go ahead.
Thank you again for allowing me to speak tonight. I appreciate everybody coming out. I'm a hard worker. I work every day, Monday through Friday, get the weekends off, get to enjoy the time with my family and church and friends. All I got to tell you is I know I represent a lot of you that go to work every day, and sometimes you have to do it. It's not that you want to, or sometimes you enjoy it. But I know that I do very well my job in operations, and I know I can bring a lot of that to the city council. I do want to work with the city council. I don't want to be a rock on someone's chute, but we got to make the best decision. We got to move forward thinking for the future, and we have to stand our ground. Morals and ethics. That's why I didn't ask for any money from anybody. It's all self-funded. I have a tight budget, so you'll see my signs coming up. We're doing Friday night with my kids, and we're all going all over the neighborhood. You'll see my signs popping up all over the place. And that's what you get. You see what you get, and that's it. So thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to Lisa Sobek.
Thank you, and thank you, Doug, and residents for coming out tonight, and those that will be watching this. You know, I have the experience, I have the leadership, and I'm ready to serve. Because I want to continue to lead the city into a bright future where growth is balanced and community values, where there are community values. I support public safety, improved infrastructure. We have $750 million in that infrastructure budget. Create opportunities for local businesses with a deep commitment of transparency and responsiveness. I believe in listening to the residents' concerns with working collaboratively to solve problems. My vision includes fostering a strong sense of community, supporting sustainable development, ensuring that Menifee remains a great place to live, work, raise a family, or even retire. I'm driven by a passion of public service and a desire to make a positive impact. I am a dedicated and trusted leader. I can be the full-time mayor needed, and I have the experience. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Davion Green.
Thank you everyone for coming out. And I am a small business owner, and I say I have the best of both worlds. My business is in District 1. I live in District 3. I hear the stories from both ends, all ends, and attending city council meetings and hearing these two bicker all the time. It's time for a change. It's time for a change. And we the people We have the voice. I have the ears. You can come and talk with me, and I will make things happen if you elect me as your mayor. The time is now for change. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you. Okay, Ricky Estrada.
Thank you everybody for being here today. I really appreciate everyone's time, and it's very commendable that all of you are here taking part and show that you care about your city. I care about my city. I love Menifee. I work here as a history teacher. I love my country. I serve in the reserves. I got here on the city council by knocking 7,000 doors since 2020. I love Menifee. I listen to you, the people. That's who I work for. You know, the policies that we're voting for need to change, okay? And I respect the offices of my colleagues, but I just have a different perspective, and that's okay. It's okay to have a healthy discussion about different points of view. I don't agree with increasing the housing density. I don't agree with the warehousing. I don't agree with wasteful spending on the amphitheater. I don't agree with approving car washes across the street from other car washes. Look at my voting record. I would appreciate all of your time. I love Menifee, and my voting record will speak for itself. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next we go to Bob Carwin.
Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Menifee 24/7. You know, you've heard a lot about what's happening in Menifee right now. There is a lot happening in Menifee right now. And over the next 4 years, we're going to need leaders with experience. People who have shown a track record of being able to work collaboratively with the rest of City Council and with the city staff. And people who know how, right now, to get things done the way we need to do it. And I think I've shown a track record of that. I was able to take a project, the Normandy Road bicycle and pedestrian path, wasn't even on the city radar. Got it on the city by working with my colleagues, onto the city agenda, and built within a 2-year span. That was a miracle, and that shows a track record. You know, I ran for city council in 2020 originally because I was willing to put myself on the line to take responsibility for the public safety and the growth of our young city. And I just want to be able to have the opportunity to keep going and fulfill the momentum that we've started. So please come see me outside, grab the yard sign, carwinforcouncil.com.
Thank you. And now Mark Harkett.
Well, I'd like to thank you all for coming out. My family's on vacation, and they're not coming back till Friday, so I left early to be here. I didn't want to miss this. Our form of government is where the average, everyday person can hear the call and go serve their community. Go out and get the votes from the people, and then go out and do a good job for them. That's what I want to do. I want to serve you guys. I want to serve District 1 and all of Menifee as well. But I want to focus on District 1 and focus on the problems and the concerns that I hear from the residents and all the neighbors that I deal with. So vote Mark Harkett if that's what you want, and I'll work hard for you.
Thank you. I want to thank again all of our candidates for coming and taking the time tonight to participate. And thank you to those of you in the audience. If I can get the crew now to raise the house lights, what we would like to do is excuse the candidates briefly first before the guests get out of their seats. If you can take the far staircase down there and head out towards the main entrance. First of all, hand off your microphone to the crew, and they will be available to speak one-on-one with you in just a couple of minutes. Thank you. You can take that. Either way. We'll give them just a couple of minutes to get out and get de-wired and to get into position.